Hey now, Adam. What's going on?
What's up? How you doing, Sitch?
I'm doing good. Today, some interesting news today. Oh my
Oh,
God, look at this.
nice.
What do we have first? We have Biden had repeated mental lapses during special counsel interview. Ooh, uh-oh.
This is news? As in news? Like
You mean like
news?
you expected this?
Yeah, I
Like you
mean,
expected?
look, we've all been waiting for this.
So, if you guys didn't know, currently at the moment, Special Counsel Robert Hur, this is the guy who interviewed Biden over the special investigation into the documents, Biden documents case, because they found a bunch of, not a bunch of, but some amount of secret documents that were wrongfully, illegally stored in Biden's garage. And this guy, Robert Hur, was the one who was in charge of trying to recommend whether he should be prosecuted or not for doing this activity. And in his report, even though he recommended not pressing charges against Biden, he did talk about how he thought part of the reason he doesn't recommend charges is because Biden seemed to be mentally incompetent.
Right. He said he was that he couldn't charge him because the jury would perceive him as just a doddering old fool.
Right, that's more fair to say than mentally incompetent. Yeah, he thought everyone would be like, "Oh, he's just an old man who doesn't remember shit."
Right.
Which, in a normal criminal case, you'd be like, "Oh, lucky for him." But when they're the president of the United States, you're like, I don't know if I really want the president of the United States to be in that category of person."
Yeah. Quite disturbing. Well, some
Yes.
might call it disturbing. Some might say that Trump is more mentally incompetent, like David Packman.
Well, that's actually going to come up, and maybe we'll talk about that. I don't think we'll watch it because it's too long. But so right now, Robert Hur is testifying in front of Congress at the
Okay.
moment, and they're grilling him. Both sides are grilling him on the situation. So the left-wing Democrats are grilling him over like, how dare you put all this stuff about him being, mentally incompetent or not remembering things in your report? This is a hit piece. And the right-wing Republicans are saying, how dare you not charge Joe Biden? What the fuck's wrong with you? Are you a secret deep stater? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
So.
All the partisan wrangling is taking place.
Yes, it's kind of funny. So there's a couple things that are interesting. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't had the time yet today to read the entire transcript. The transcript actually just came out today. It's like I think it's like almost 200 pages from this deposition or longer. So that'll be fun to look through. But this Axios article highlights some of the fun key moments, I think, from the from the interview. Do you
How
want
are
to go
we
over
really
them?
going to be able to tell from a transcript, right? I mean, we're kind of I want cadence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless they're going to put the mumbles in and stuff. They're going to spell things differently.
Hmm. I mean, I guess that's a fair point. Yeah, like you'd want to see the video. I mean, I'm assuming this was recorded. It was a deposition. So you want to see the video so you can kind of get like the tone of voice and what was going on, make sure it was everything's in the proper context.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Right. Well, before we get that, because I don't know if we're ever gonna get the video, we have the transcript and here's some of the highlights that they bring up according to Axios. Okay. So it says over the course of the 2-day interview, which took place in the immediate aftermath of the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel, Biden repeatedly asked for help remembering certain important dates, and his lawyers frequently stepped in. So when I hear that, the first thing I think of is, okay, this happened on October 8th. Why didn't he, like, why would the president even accept this on October 8th? When you be like, there's like this massive major attack in Israel that I probably have to deal with. That's a little bit more important than me talking to this, giving a deposition for 5 hours. Doesn't that seem like really bizarre?
Yeah. I mean, maybe they had it scheduled, right?
Yeah, but so what? You just push it back.
Right.
Like
Sure.
that's
I don't
so
know.
weird to me, isn't it?
Can he just push it back?
Of
I
course. What do
thought
you
the
mean?
I thought the feds were coming from it for him. No one is above the law, Sitch. Not even the president of the United States.
Well, if you had a situation where the president kept pushing back some interview or some deposition like indefinitely, then they could probably go to court and be like, okay, he's not, working with us. But I'm assuming they're going to grant the president pretty strong leeway to be able to schedule a deposition, especially after like the most gigantic terrorist attack on Israel like ever. They'd be like, okay, I guess maybe we could push it back a day because you got to deal with this stuff.
I
It just seems
guess.
so insane to me. I don't get this.
Maybe he was looking forward to this. Maybe he was going to use this as an excuse so he didn't have to make a statement about October 7th very quickly.
Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's, I mean, does this, maybe it means that, he doesn't really have to do much presidenting? I don't know. It just seems so weird to me. The whole thing seems bizarre. Okay, but anyway, so here are some of the highlights from it that Axios talks about. They said, quote, Biden says, quote, when did I announce for president? Parentheses in 2019, he asked. So he doesn't know
Is
when
that
he
what does a
announced.
parentheses mean? Did he say that, or are they just putting that in there?
They mean that was like the time frame that he was asking about from a previous question, I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
Yeah. So he's, when did I announce for president? So he doesn't know when he announced. He doesn't know what year he announced he was running for president.
Right. That's a little sus. You
Right.
think, look, when you're announcing for president, you're kind of trying to figure out what the best time is. You're fielding different dates. So there's
Yes.
a lot of thought goes into that. You'd think he would remember that.
And also, it's not going to be like you're not going to have a big range on that, right? Like it's, obviously it was the year before the election happened, right?
Right.
At a minimum.
Was it 2017?
Yeah, like I don't, how do you like, okay, I guess. Interesting. And then he says, quote, if it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president? He's asking, when did he stop being vice
Oh,
president?
man. This is
Hmm,
beautiful.
that's not good. That's not good. For those of you that are following at home, Joe Biden was vice president for Obama.
Right.
Okay. So that was,
This one's crazy. In 2009, am I still vice president? Did Wasn't he elected in 2008?
he's 2000. Yeah. So the election was 2008. So he's vice president from then to, well, I guess he's not really sworn in until 2009, but from then to 2016. So
In 2009, am I still vice president? Yeah,
yeah,
you're vice president for 8 years. You dumb.
it's such a weird fucking thing, right?
Am I
Like,
still vice president?
like if the question was, is
It
2009 like before Obama
right.
sworn in and he's sworn in?
Yeah, am
So,
I vice president then?
right. But that's not what
Would
he said. He
make
said, am I
sense.
still, implying it's after the fact, right?
I know. Yeah, because he's when do they do the swearing in on January 20th or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like January 20th, 2009. He's sworn in, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's so weird.
I mean, you're right. Like, I don't know. We had to see the video. I'm assuming it's not like, am I still vice president? Laugh, right? Like it's a joke. Like I'm assuming this
Oh
is
yeah,
serious.
that could be
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. After that, quote, Trump gets elected in 2017 by an ass before someone noted it was 20 November 2016.
right,
So there you go.
right.
So I don't know. Maybe there you could say, "Wow, was he confusing election with swearing in?" Who knows? This all seems very bad. This all seems very bad. Twice in the same day, according to the article, Biden struggled to find the words for fax machine.
Okay,
Quote, you see where there's a printer and there's a, what do they call it? The machine that blank. He asked until White House counsel Ed Siskel offered up fax machine in both instances.
right.
So he
So
forgot the
he
word.
corrects him once, but then he can't even remember it like a minute later.
Well, that's what's bad too. Like, okay, so sometimes, listen, sometimes we're going on these streams, long interview, you blank on a word or whatever. I don't know if I'd ever blank on fax machine, but you blank on that's a weird one to blank on. But you blank on a word and then to blank on it twice in the same conversation is pretty bad. That's
It's
pretty bad.
awful.
That's pretty
It's
awful.
terrible.
Yeah, he doesn't know what his fax machine is. When, like, I mean, he was of the age that fax machines have been in use for a long time, right?
Yeah,
He's not like some Zoomer who's like, fax machine, what's that? I've never even heard of that thing.
yeah. He's a regular user of fax machines.
Yes. He probably still uses it now.
He probably does.
Yes. After the report was released, Biden disputed her statement that he didn't remember the year his son Bo died. Quote, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself it wasn't any of their damn business, Biden said in February. The transcript, however, shows that Biden himself brought up his son, not special prosecutor Hur, and that he did not have trouble recalling that Bo died in 2015 until White House lawyer Rachel Cotton helped. No, he did have trouble recalling that he died in 2015 until the White House lawyer helped. While talking about the years 2017, 2018, Biden said, quote, remember in this time frame, my son is either deployed or is dying, and adds, and so what was happening though? What month did Bo die? Oh my God, May 30th, blank, before Cotton offered that it was in 2015. So he was thinking that his son died 2 to 3 years after he actually died.
Why are they quizzing him on these dates? What's up with these
Well,
dates?
because it
Just
would,
like
I'm
when the
assuming,
documents, they're trying to figure out when the documents left the White
yes,
House, or
they're trying to figure out when the documents left
right.
the White House.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So, um, let's see.
Like May 30th, I was in the John.
Yeah.
That's the day I was reading the document.
Right. Okay. So that's the part where they talk about just like some of the crazier things that are in this. And again, I don't understand why this interview took place the day after Israel's attack.
I don't see why that's such a huge deal.
Because he would be, you'd think like he'd be dealing with all this like foreign policy shit you have to be dealing with. What do you mean?
I guess. I mean,
Like imagine if it's the day after 9/11, they're like, listen,
yeah, that's different. America was attacked.
yeah, but you're
Israel.
still gonna have to do all this coordination with Israel. You're still gonna have to do like there's gonna be a
Well, we got to
lot of
handhold them.
yes, there's gonna be, you know how many policy
Look at
conversations are gonna
you.
have to happen after like when your
There
closest
was
allies
like
is attacked in this way? It just seems weird to me. They're gonna spend 5 hours doing
I thought
something else.
there was like one phone call between him and Bibi Netanyahu.
That's pretty wacky if that was the case.
Yeah. Need like all day holding hands with
Hmm.
Israel. Come on.
Okay. Well, so there's an article from CNN that's pretty funny. It says the takeaway from Robert Hur's testimony on Biden's mishandling of the classified documents. So, and I actually watched this. It's pretty funny. So when they started to like when the hearing today started, where they were talking to Robert Hur, Jim Jordan, who's the chairman of this committee, his opening statement included him playing the full 7 minutes video of the press conference after the Hur report. Remember that we watched like a chunk
Right.
of it, where it's like right after it comes out, they like wake up Biden in the middle of the night, and he comes up, and he shambles onto the podium, and he tries to say like, "Look, my memory is great. Everything's great." And it just is like obviously not great and looks awful and makes everyone think that he's like super infirmed.
He walks he walks away from the podium and he's like almost out the door.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and rambles back to the podium.
Right.
And he
Right.
says something that's so off the cuff, but the mainstream media picks up on it and keeps saying it over
Hmm.
and over again. It's something to the effect of Israel has really gone over the line or something, or was really out of line. I
No,
can't
that was
remember the
when
direct.
isn't that when he said that the president of Egypt was president of Mexico or something?
He did say that as well, but
Yeah.
he also said he answered a question about the Israel Palestine situation,
Hmm.
and he said he was working on some sort of peace settlement with them,
Right.
and he said what Israel has done in Gaza is over the line or over the top or something like
Right.
that.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, and I do remember the news media continuing to grab onto the fact that Biden had finally made a statement about Israel Palestine,
Hmm.
and the statement just they basically took it out of context, but in the context it really looks like Biden was woken up in the middle of the night and someone shoved a microphone in his face and said, "What do you got to say about Israel and Palestine?"
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
was like, well, it was like way over the top." Right?
Right.
It just seemed completely the news media is so thirsty for a comment on it
Hmm.
that they ran with this comment that just, I don't know, it wasn't well thought out. It was just off the cuff. It was, I mean, and it's not, I mean, is it really meaningful to say Israel is what they've done is over the top or over the line, or how meaningful is that?
Well, it depends. Like over the top, I guess doesn't mean anything. That's just I guess to throw some meat to the progressives or attempt to. I don't think it's gonna work. Over the line would matter if he's trying to make some comment about like I'm drawing a red line that Israel can't do X, Y, Z, and then they go and do it or don't do it, right? Then that would actually be important.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the comment now.
There was a recent comment where Biden made a kind of a bullshit comment the other day where he's like, it's a red line in the sand that Israel can't do. Let me see if I can bring it up
Oh,
here.
look, I'm right on it right here. Biden. So when asked by a reporter Thursday evening about the hostage deal negotiation,
Hmm.
Biden said, I am of the view that the conduct of the response in the Gaza Strip has been over the top. Over the
Mm.
top.
Over the top.
So not over the line.
Right.
Unless there's a line at the top.
There
Then,
could be a
of
line at the
course, it is
top.
over the line.
Right.
But yeah, that's a statement that they kept running with over and over and over again. Which, I mean, in the context of the press conference, I was just like, kind of insane.
Right. Well, it's
Yeah.
funny because okay, so like recently this happened the day
Yeah.
the day before yesterday. Biden warned Israel, he warned Netanyahu that to invade the city of Rafah on the southern border of the Gaza Strip would be in defiance of United States President Joe Biden, and it would be a red line. Okay. This would be a
Okay.
red line that he was drawing, according to Politico. And in response to this, Netanyahu replied, we'll go there. We're not going to leave them. I have a red line. You know what the red line is? That October 7th doesn't happen again. So Biden drew a red line about invading Rafah, and Netanyahu said, "Go fuck
And
yourself."
Netanyahu pissed all over it. He said, I
Yes.
got a line for you.
Yes.
Here it is. Fuck you.
But also, it was like Biden's original statement was so weak on it because after he, said his red line about Rafah, he immediately says after that, like, oh, we're still going to support Israel. We have to, I'm not saying we're not going to support Israel. Like, oh, well, then what does the red line even mean at that point?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But
really
anyway,
dumb.
what this was supposed to be about Biden losing his
Oh, okay,
mind.
right.
And
Okay,
yeah.
so Jim Jordan, yeah, he plays that clip of Biden, being woken up in the middle of the night. The entire thing, like this committee hearing. And then, both sides kind of know, like Democrats, Republicans kind of know what the other person is, like what the other side is going to do. So the top Democrat on the committee, which is Jerry Nadler, since I guess he knew Jim Jordan was going to play this, he made his own video of
Oh,
Donald
no.
Trump. And it's like a montage showing Donald Trump misremembering key facts, including a clip. Let's see, a clip where he incorrectly said Viktor Orban was the prime minister of Hungary and said he was the prime minister of Turkey and said some other things or jumbled his words. He's like, "Oh, see, you're gonna say that the Biden has mental problems. Well, look, here's Donald Trump having his own mental problems," which is funny and it could be true. It doesn't really have anything to do with like the topic of the hearing, right? The topic of the hearing is about, this investigation about whether Biden did anything improper with documents. So it's just a very classic, funny political whataboutism because everything is political theater. So of course you have to do that. But Trump bad though.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. They're such children. They're like, look, you're going to play your tape. We're going to play our tape.
Yes, yes. Even if it doesn't really have anything to do with the topic. Though, I mean, it makes sense because basically what's going to happen is, Jim Jordan's going to play his tape. And then that's going to get a bunch of publicity from like the media, especially the right wing media. So Jerry Natter's like, well, I need my tape that like the left wing media can play,
Yeah.
essentially. So
Yeah.
I like,
David Packman is going way in this direction that Trump is
sure.
just mentally unfit. He's trying to establish that narrative early on here.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, I don't know. Been saying some weird things recently. Do you see that clip of him where he just starts like kind of like he has like a 3 second thing where he just his like mouth stops working and it's almost like he had like a little mini stroke or something. Did you see
Really?
it? Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
I haven't.
I thought I sent it to you.
That's
It
good
is
stuff.
weird. It's like I was like, what's going on here? I'm
That's
like I'm like, do we both just have, Are both candidates just like totally like brain damaged at this point?
Yeah, I want to see two stroke patients have a
Hmm.
debate on have a presidential debate, knowing that one of these stroke patients
Hmm.
will end up being leader of the free world.
Right, right. I did send it to you if you want to bring it up. We can watch.
Sure,
It's
I
in
haven't watched.
it's not on YouTube though. It's in like a C-SPAN thing.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, if you want to, you have to do like a little window, 3, 2, 1 it.
Is this?
It's the here, I'll send it to you again.
Yeah, do that.
Because it was weird. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? We got two dying people that are gonna run for office. But this is funny. So the CNN, and I give CNN credit for this, which is kind of surprising. So in the article after this, where they talk about, how Jerry Nadler brought up this video montage of Trump, they say Trump's memory, of course, had nothing to do with Tuesday's hearing, which is true.
Of
Except it had
course.
everything to do with the hearing. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Because the hearing was as much about the 2024 campaign and the coming clash between Biden and Trump as it was about taking testimony from a special counsel who declined to charge Biden for his mishandling of the classified info. Okay. I mean, I guess that's true. I don't think that's necessarily untrue. In his
All
opening
right.
statement, Hurd defended his report, which found evidence Biden willfully retained classified materials, but that the evidence did not rise to the level of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. He took criticism directly over his inclusion of the state of Biden's memory. Hur said, quote, my assessment in the report about the relevance of the president's memory was necessary, accurate, and fair. Most importantly, what I wrote is what I believe the evidence shows and what I expect jurors would perceive and believe. I did not sanitize my explanation, nor did I disparage the president unfairly. I explained to the attorney general my decision and the reasons for it. That's what I was required to do, which I think seems totally reasonable and fair for someone doing an investigation, right?
Sure. Yeah. He's
So,
like, I'm just doing my job here. It's not my
mhm.
fault if it totally screws up his campaign.
I see you were more on the cynical political side of the equation.
Look, he it's either he is a partisan actor or he just doesn't care. And
Right,
I don't know enough about the guy to know. Like if it was me, I don't really care that much, so I would
right,
just do my job. I'd be like, cope, seethe.
right.
I'm just doing my job, okay? That's kind of the direction you want people to be in the legal profession and
That is what you want, yeah.
yeah, and the medical profession, obviously, you don't want people journalism, you want people to be unbiased.
We want them to be
No.
neutral. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not to put a thumb on the scale, right? We're
Her attack.
attacked from both sides. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. It says several Democrats went after her for his comments on Biden's memory lapse, calling them gratuitous and implying he was trying to help Trump's reelection bid by wounding the Democratic president.
Of course, people in our comments are going to say that as well.
Of
So,
course,
but look, we're going to play the Trump stuttering thing.
that's
So
true.
leave us
But
alone.
let me, yeah, I want to finish this article. That's funny. Rep. Hank Johnson, a Georgia Democrat, said, "You're doing everything you can do to get President Trump reelected so that you can get appointed as a federal judge or perhaps to another position in the Department of Justice. Is that correct?" Like, do you like how it's like a total Kathy Newman? It's like I'm gonna throw out a statement and then I guess ask like right at the end of it to make it like a question. To which her laughed at the suggestion, saying, Congressman, I have no such aspirations. I can assure you, and I can tell you that partisan politics had no place whatsoever in my work. Well, I guess we'll find out if Trump wins the election and he gets a federal judge, appoint, if he becomes a federal judge after, then we'll know. We'll know he was lying.
Well, I mean, who's going to turn down a federal judgeship?
There you go. Schiff said, you understand you made a choice. That was a political choice and it was a wrong choice, referring, of course, to creating this political firestorm, to which her responded, what you're suggesting is that I shape, sanitize, omit portions of my reasoning and explanation to the Attorney General for political reasons. Yeah, I think that's a very strong argument. And that's kind of the problem here, because even if her did do all this for political reasons, a reasonable person could look at least at the transcript and say, well, there definitely does seem to be memory problems here, and it definitely does seem to be fair if this wasn't the president, if this wasn't a political thing, for a lawyer to say all these things about the jury finding them, just like a doddering old man. In any other non-political situation, everyone would say that could definitely be a fair thing. And I think that's what makes it very difficult for the left to attack her as doing this from a political partisan way.
Yeah, what they're doing is political.
Yes. But he also was attacked by Republicans. We had Tom McClintock, a California Republican, saying, quote, all I have to do when I'm caught taking home classified materials is say, I'm sorry, Mr. Herb, but I'm getting old. My memory's not so great. This is the doctrine you've established in our laws now, and it's frightening. So he's not happy about that. He's not happy about that. So he's getting it from both sides.
Right. They want to arrest Biden for the
Hmm.
documents.
Right. Another Republican, Jordan from an Ohio Republican, said Joe Biden broke the law, but because he's a forgetful old man who would appear sympathetic to jury, Mr. Hur chose not to bring charges. Well, also, isn't that like a very dishonest way to frame it? Because Hur's not the person that brings the charges. They just recommend or not recommend to bring the charges, right? It's ultimately up to the Attorney General.
Yeah, there you go.
So, okay, anyway, is there anything else you want to say about this? It's pretty
No, I
funny,
want to watch
but
a clip of Trump.
okay. So this is a clip of Trump.
12 seconds. It's got to
Pretty
be
weird clip. This happened recently, March 2nd. So give me a 3, 2, 1, and we'll look at it.
3, 2, 1, go.
We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their oil.
A little weird, right?
It is, but I mean, if we had the cutaway shot of he's obviously reading off a teleprompter. If we had the cutaway shot of the teleprompter, like freaking out or a
Oh,
bunch
you
of
think maybe?
static, go to
Maybe, yeah, it's
static,
possible,
yeah,
I guess. I don't know.
he'd be like, "Oh my, what the fuck? Fix a teleprompter, you."
Yeah, maybe.
Right. This is
It's,
this is like note this. Trump always makes fun of people for talking on the teleprompter. He is obviously reading off a teleprompter in
yes, you
this.
can super 100%
Yeah.
say, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely think I don't know, he keeps calling Biden Obama. I don't think that's intentional. He said something
Well,
else recently
he
too.
says that he calls Biden Obama because they're one and the same.
I don't buy that.
Well,
I don't buy it.
he's I've heard him say it in
I
a
know, no, I know that's his excuse, but he said
yeah.
something like, recently he said something like, I'm running against, Obama, or he said some comment like that. It seems suspect to me. Now, obviously, I do think Trump is a way more mentally there than Biden is, but I mean, they're both whoever wins, they're gonna be the oldest person president. And it's just, I don't think we should be having these geriatric 80-year-olds be president.
Let's
That's
watch this
my very hot take here.
let's watch this one more time. It's only 12 seconds.
Okay.
Look for the teleprompter, Fritz.
Yeah.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Nation anywhere in the world. We are a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will be reducing their oil.
The thing that makes it really bad is not just his because you see he does that weird facial expression
Uh-huh.
where he goes "Ugh," his face freezes and then he goes "Ugh," afterward.
I know, it's
That's what
like
makes it strange. You're like, whoa, what's going on here?
it's like his ecstasy just kicked in or something.
Right. It's like, okay.
That is kind of bonkers.
It is pretty weird. So I don't know. It's not good either way. That's all that matters, I guess.
All right.
Okay.
What's the next story?
The next story, let's talk about TikTok.
Oh, TikTok again?
I want to talk about TikTok again. Yeah.
I don't have a story for the TikTok thing,
Um,
but I'll look something up. Go ahead.
you
What do you
could
want
you
to
could
say?
put up the Thomas Massey tweet.
Okay. That's what
Here,
we'll
I'll
do.
send it to you. So the other day we talked about how there was a bill that passed the subcommittee unanimously to basically make it so that TikTok has to either be sold out of Chinese hands or, it's not going to be allowed to exist in America anymore. And it was very weird because Donald Trump, who was actually trying to ban TikTok, I think when he was president or shortly, around that time period, now is suddenly totally flip-flopped on that situation, now seemingly defending TikTok.
Right. And
Um,
we've hypothesized that it's over money.
yes, because he, and a lot of other Republicans seem to be getting money or promises of money or threats of losing money from this guy who's has a $33 billion stake in TikTok, and he's a giant Republican donor and financer.
Right.
Okay. And so the conversation continues because now the actual bill is available to be read by the public today. And Thomas Massie put out this weird tweet that some people responded to, including Tim Pool, who responded to it incorrectly, which I want to highlight, which says the so-called TikTok ban is a Trojan horse. The president will be given the power to ban websites, in all caps, not just apps. The person breaking the new law is deemed to be the US or offshore internet hosting service or app store, not the foreign adversary. Okay, so there's two parts of this I have to talk about. Well, it's three, but the Trojan horse thing there's not really an explanation there. So it says the president will be given the power to ban websites and not just apps. So how stupid would it be, Adam, if the law made it so that the TikTok app was illegal, but the TikTok website was still 100% legal in America? How
Though that would be
stupid would that be?
stupid, yeah, because everyone would
Yes.
just go to the website. The website would become the
Yes.
workaround. Yeah.
Yes. So it's so weird to me. This is why, like, I can't tell, and I don't know. I don't know if Thomas Massie is just a boomer, or if he's dishonest. Because I think he has like a degree from MIT or something. And I
Oh,
think
that's
he is
crazy.
specifically like worked in some kind of, computer programming startup thing. So he should know better. This isn't, I thought he was just a boomer, but now it just seems really dishonest. Why is highlighting the website like insidious when that's obviously what you would have to do?
Yeah.
It's
He
just,
just doesn't know.
is this just a trick? Is this like, it's like a weird thing where I see that sometimes people they don't like something and they don't really have a good reason why something's bad. So they just highlight something that seems kind of innocuous and people go, "Oh my God, a person I trust said this is bad," even without really a proper explanation of why it's bad. So I guess it's just bad now.
Right. What is the second part of this?
So the
The
second part
person,
says
yeah.
the person breaking the new law is deemed to be the US or offshore internet hosting or app store, not the foreign adversary. Okay. Now, this seems kind of dishonest to me in the way in which he's framing this. So let me ask you a question. If, there was a time period in America where it was basically legal to manufacture and sell most drugs. Okay.
Right.
So let's imagine that, we're coming from a time period where it was illegal to manufacture and sell crack cocaine. All right.
Okay.
And the government says, you know what? We don't think it should be legal to sell and manufacture crack cocaine, right? So they make it illegal for a person to make it, right?
Sure.
Wouldn't it also make sense? Would it make sense for the government to say, hey, you know what? It's illegal, to make crack, but if you want to go to your local drugstore, they can still sell it to you.
Right.
Why would that make any sense?
Well, like it's made outside of the country and shipped here and then
Yes, right.
okay.
Like imagine
And
that.
you can buy it?
Yeah, like imagine they say, listen, we're gonna make it illegal to make crack in the United States. So then Canada, these dirty
Decides they're going to
Canadians,
be crack
yeah,
dealers.
they start making crack and they start going, they call up CVS and they say, hey CVS, you want to sell a bunch of crack to Americans? And they say, sure. And then CVS starts selling crack to Americans, right? Does that
Right.
make sense to you?
So he's basically saying that the law will only affect the companies that America has jurisdiction over.
Yeah, he's complaining that
I mean, what the fuck? We don't have
I know this is
jurisdiction over the other
I know.
What is this guy? What is this guy? He's smoking crack. Sitch? This makes absolutely no sense.
That's why
Yeah,
this
of
doesn't make any
course
sense
we're going
to
to
me,
make it
yes.
illegal for the companies that are in America. Because we can't make it illegal for the companies in France.
Yes.
Because they're in France. Right? Let's
Right.
make laws for the Chinese people. What are they going to do what are they going to do, Sitch? Let's write a law that says it's illegal in China
Yeah.
to use TikTok. What's the Chinese
Why don't we
government
do
going to
that,
do?
Adam? You know what?
Well, it would solve all our problems, right?
Listen. No, listen. We're thinking about this all wrong. Okay, maybe Thomas Massey's onto something, okay? In America, we should write a law that says the Chinese government
Can't make TikTok.
can't make TikTok propaganda anymore, okay? Says stop it, China. Okay, you gotta follow our laws here. We'll let you keep doing TikTok, but we're gonna tell you you can't do any more propaganda stuff. Okay, how about this? Actually, I have a better idea. Let's write a law that says Russia needs to stop invading Ukraine. Why don't we just write that as a law, right?
If we just write it in Russian, I mean,
It'll trick them.
that'll work.
Right. That's why I was so like, I'm reading this, I'm like, what the fuck's he talking about? So obviously the law is saying like it's illegal for if TikTok remains, in the hands of the Chinese Communist Party, okay, it will be illegal for service providers, okay, to distribute TikTok. Like it'd be illegal for the App Store to keep carrying TikTok, once.
Yeah, because we have jurisdiction over the App Store.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Thomas Massey's complaining about that, which is so fucking baffling to me because it makes no fucking sense. Obviously, that's what you do. Say, okay, we're going to say TikTok's illegal now. The App Store can't carry anymore. Okay. US websites can't host it anymore. This is like the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah, you have to find some way to actually stop it from infiltrating America.
Yes.
Yeah. Some practical way. And this is the practical way to do it.
Like that's why I just read this tweet and I was like, what the fuck?
Well,
why are people eating this up?
Look, they'll just distribute it on their website if they don't. That's why they have to ban the website too.
Yes.
They'll just start distributing the app on the website.
Well, and this is like double weird because there are arguments in the comments on Twitter people were making with me that were far better arguments in favor of keeping TikTok than what Representative Thomas Massey made. These arguments are dumb as fuck. Okay. These are horrible, garbage arguments. There are arguments people can make. These are not the good arguments that anyone can make.
I bet if you looked at all the people who are making arguments in favor of TikTok, they all probably just have huge platforms on TikTok.
Well, I think
they're addicted to the app. They're using it. Yeah.
I think there's a handful of things. I think there's a couple categories, or maybe more than a couple. There's category one, which is what you're talking about. The people that use TikTok and get money from it, obviously, right?
Not
category
much money,
two,
which is odd. Yeah.
Yeah. I think category two is the people that are like very libertarian minded, which Thomas Massey is trying to appeal to and Rand Paul's trying to appeal to, which is like all they care about is, you don't want, or the primary thing they care about is not wanting to have government like control things. And that kind of gets their elephant going, right?
Right. Let the Chinese government control things. That's smart.
I agree. That's not a good argument.
That's real intelligent. Yeah.
Right. I agree with you. But that's where they're coming from. And then I think the third is that there is just literally communist CCP people that are trying to set, like pretending to be others accounts. Like, oh, I'm defending, TikTok. So, well, actually, it's probably a fourth category, which is just the people that, just because Trump, sort of kind of like defends it, or just because Massey defends it, they're just going to automatically, flip flop on the issue. So
they're on board.
Right. And then Thomas Massey's second tweet about this is just as stupid. He says, if you think this isn't a Trojan horse and will only apply to TikTok and foreign adversary social media companies, then contemplate why someone thought it was important to get a very specific exclusion for their internet-based businesses written into the bill. Okay. So he says, and then he posts a screenshot that says exclusion. The term covered companies, which means like the companies this would apply to, does not include any entity that operates a website, desktop application, mobile application, or augmented or immersive technology application whose primary purpose is to allow users to post product reviews, business reviews, or travel information and reviews. So
Mhm.
all that's saying is that this bill would not include, websites that post reviews for businesses and products.
Right.
How does that show that? So, okay. So explain to me the logic here. Because we have a bill that narrowly targets social media type sites from 4 countries. This only applies to 4 countries, okay? North Korea, China, Iran, and Russia. This literally only applies to 4 countries.
Right.
Okay. So it has this narrow band of only applying to these 4 countries. It has a narrow band of applying to specifically to social media uh, type platforms that they define in the bill. And it says we specifically exclude websites that do product reviews, business reviews, and travel reviews. How the fuck is that evidence that this is a Trojan horse? What is the logic there?
There is none. I mean,
I just
they don't want to ban sites like Yelp or Travelocity, which you could categorize as a social media because there are comments and feedback and
right.
stuff
There's
like that.
posts
Yeah.
and things of that nature. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. That's why they have these exclusions. Well, first of
Yeah.
all, I mean, Travelocity is not hosted in China or anything anyway. So I don't even know what sites they're even referring to that are hosted in China.
Right.
But I don't, he doesn't explain, and this is just so weird to me. He makes these vague statements that make no sense. How is having a very narrowly targeted bill towards 4 countries, then that gives further exclusions means that's evidence that it's a Trojan horse?
Yeah. What's the Trojan horse? What
I
is this
just,
bill? What is this bill going to unleash? What's going to get out of the Trojan horse, Massey? What's coming out?
I don't know. He doesn't say. He doesn't explain. He doesn't say, oh, this is, if there's a Trojan horse here, if there's some concern here, just say what it is. What is the concern? What's the thing that's going to happen that you think was going to happen? And I think the reason he's being vague about this is because if he makes a specific claim,
Yeah.
you would
Everyone's
say,
going to
oh,
debunk it.
exactly. It can be debunked. You can say, well, that's not what's going to go on. But if you just make these vague statements, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
And then you troll the comments and you look for a
Right.
better argument.
Unfortunately, Elon Musk has retweeted this and supporting this idea that this isn't about, Elon Musk says this law is not about TikTok. It's about censorship and government control. So
I
he's just eated this up, I guess.
Yeah.
So
So
it's just,
let's let China control us. Yeah. This is so stupid.
it's very terrible. So Elon Musk, unfortunately, sucking down this propaganda. Tim Pool also did, saying, quote, he quote tweeted this and saying, this will shut down Telegram and VPNs.
Well,
Which,
I mean, will it? At least he's
no,
admitting what what he believes the Trojan horse is.
right. That's true. At least he's throwing a position out. So Tim is incorrect on this. And you can read the bill. The bill's pretty short. So this would not include VPNs because the definition of companies has to be a company that permits a user to generate, share, view text, images, real-time communications, has more than 1 million monthly active users, blah, blah, blah. So people that are posting things, right? On a VPN, you're not posting anything. You're just using it to look at the internet.
Right.
Okay. So the definition of the type of company, A, doesn't apply to a VPN. And then B, this actually, so you can say, okay, that's true. It wouldn't apply to VPN because you're not hosting, like a VPN is not a website used to generate, share, or view text, images or videos or real-time communications. But you could say, okay, but that would account for Telegram because Telegram is a social media platform and the people that own it are Russian, right? No, it wouldn't even apply to Telegram because the law doesn't say someone of Russian descent, someone of Chinese descent is not allowed to run or own the company. What the law says very specifically is that the headquarters, the location of the company, the jurisdiction of the company can't be under the control and in the jurisdiction of one of those four countries. So the people that run Telegram, even though they're Russian, their headquarters is in the UAE, which is not an adversarial country to the United States. So Telegram would still be completely unaffected by this legislation.
Cool. Good for them.
Because the whole point of the law is not, oh, we can't have like people of foreign descent run companies. It's no, you don't want a company under the charge of an adversarial fucking government. Okay. That's what you don't want.
Right.
So I don't know. The whole thing is sad to me. It's probably because of this. I wouldn't be surprised if like a bunch of Republicans get scared off supporting the bill and TikTok doesn't get banned. And we continue to have essentially, or not even banned, but have to like sell. And by the way, a lot of people are looking to buy it, including Rumble. Rumble is looking to partner with other
Oh,
people to buy. I don't know
wow.
if Rumble has enough money on its own, but Rumble's looking to buy TikTok. Wouldn't everyone rather prefer Rumble own TikTok than the fucking Chinese communist country?
Yeah. I like someone to look under the hood, figure
Yeah,
out what's going on.
I don't know. The whole thing's crazy to me. But so, I mean, if this doesn't pass because of this, I'm just, oh my God, it's going to be awful.
What are the chances of this passing? I think it's 0% chance of this passing.
Yeah, I don't think it's zero, but I think it's like low 10 or 20% chance.
Okay.
Low 10, 20.
You get 20%.
Yeah. The only reason I don't put it at zero is because even when like Trump came out against it, he kind of came against it in like a roundabout way. You know, like, oh, I don't like it because it's going to help Facebook, as opposed to like, don't vote for it. Because
Right.
if he says, I don't like it because it's going to help Facebook, and then you have Rumble and a bunch of other, conservative friendly platforms saying, we'll buy TikTok, right? And if they, so that they can sell it, so it won't like help Facebook, that kind of destroys that entire argument. So
Wow. Wowzers.
terrible. So sad. So sad.
That's okay.
Right.
Don't let it get you down. You don't use TikTok, do you?
No, I
So
never
it's
used
not
TikTok.
infecting your mind.
No. Well,
But
I'm
when
an
you
old
go to the
man,
grocery
so
store, you
yeah.
have to interact with people who are using
Right.
TikTok.
Right.
And I probably 9 out of 10 trans people are trans because of TikTok. So
Right.
there's that. All those false positives are straight from TikTok.
Well, that's what's weird about this is because we know that not only do we know that like TikTok is using, the data to spy on Americans, but we know that so much of this woke, horrible garbage is coming directly from TikTok.
True.
We all know that. And so it's super fucking weird for now people to be like, people on the right to be like, I'm totally fine with the youth being indoctrinated by a fucking communist country to become all little Marxist comrades. It's so
Yeah.
weird. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. All
So,
because they are skeptical of American government.
yeah,
It-
but that's the
what
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre because Republicans, the conservatives, are supposed to be the ones who are law and order, protect America, national defense.
Hmm.
But they're like, just let the Chinese Communist Party control our youth.
Right.
It's so stupid.
It's terrible.
Where we need some more of that conservative paranoia. Where did that
Yes.
conservative paranoia go?
Well, that is the problem with when people just completely lose faith in our government, which is understandable to an extent. It basically allows people to, there's like this weird thing where people start hating their own government more than the foreign adversarial government.
Right. Because
And
of
it's
TikTok.
and it's weird. Well, no, because like when the left does that, that makes sense, right? Because you're like, okay, well, that like the left's view of the world is that all of our problems come from within the house, right? It's weird when the people on the right start looking at the world that way. That's when it's weird.
Right.
And the idea that, because I saw Zero Fuck say this in the chat, the idea that there's could possibly be loopholes in the law, that's true of any law. There's always could be some weird loophole or some way of which someone can argue something. You can never write the 100% airtight thing. That's a really bad reason to not pass legislation. To not even try to pass legislation. If Thomas Massey or one of these other people think there's some kind of dangerous loophole in there, then just suggest a way to close the loophole. The fact that it's all so vague and people just want to shut it down, that's what makes me say it's all bullshit.
I agree. What's our next story?
Let me read some Superchats. Sodoge Deep State Center for Excellence for $2 says, I sent Sitch a funny story about our favorite president. Oh, did you?
Must be FDR. Is that it?
FDR. That Sodoge is well known for loving FDR. That's a good point. That FDR is Sodoge's favorite president.
Well, he said our favorite president. So
that's true. Yeah. I know. That's what I'm saying. It's jointly our favorite president together. It's a screenshot from our other favorite president after FDR, President Sunday. It's a conversation between President Sunday and a guy named Avi Bitterman.
Okay.
And Avi says, sorry, not playing 21 questions. President Sunday says, you haven't answered any, so what? Avi says, exactly. So not interested in playing 21 questions with you. You're not a person worth of my time to engage with. The only reason I'm doing this now is because I said I would. To which President Sunday says, so what's going to happen, Avi, is when this is done, I'm going to be inquiring about reporting bodies because you're using your medical doctor status as a dermatologist, no less, to bolster ethically motivated genocide apologia. And we have clear tweets that affect to showcase this. To which Abby says, good luck with that. To which President Sunday says, I think it'll be interesting at least. I thought you weren't interested in a back and forth. You're still going. To which Abby says, not really. I'm familiar with the rules of said bodies, but I'm glad I have your intentions on screenshot so I can show the world the justification for avoiding people like you. Best wishes. So there you go.
I have no idea what any of that means.
I don't either. But thank you for
Okay.
sending it to me, Soldoge, with very little context.
Yeah.
I assume Avi was talking something about the recent reports about Israel and rapes and all that other stuff. And
Oh, is he denying all of that?
no,
President Sunday is?
I'm assuming, yeah, President Sunday seems like President Sunday is denying all that. That's been my interpretation of that interaction.
Right.
So, okay, there you go. Let's see. Words Hurt for $5 says, Sitch, loved your Twitter debate with Hutch. Any chance you could debate him on stream? Yo, actually, I'll ask him. I asked him if he wanted to come on stream, and he didn't reply to that, but he did follow me, so I'll send him a DM about this. So I had this interaction with this guy named Hutch, who I guess is a big Twitch guy, because he seems like he has a lot of followers. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, I kind of looked at his timeline, his Twitter timeline. So, because I saw you arguing with him. What was it? What was the argument over?
So the argument was, let me go find the tweet here. Okay. No, that's not it.
You don't remember what
the argument was it started about the Oscars. Okay.
Right.
Why can't I find this? I had like a million tweets about this. I can't find the original tweet. It's just super weird.
Tell the story.
Well, I want to bring up the tweet.
Yeah, but I
want to bring up the tweet first.
The Hutch tweet?
Yes. Here we go. Okay. So the original conversation was Elon Musk said, winning an Oscar now just means you won the woke contest. And Vivek responded saying, our good friend Vivek Ramaswamy, who I know everyone thinks that we're huge fans.
Right.
Except for the people that actually listen to our show that know we don't like Vivek.
Right. And always give us a hard time because they all love Vivek.
Exactly. So Vivek responded to Elon saying, American History X is an all-time classic that wouldn't even earn a nomination if it were made today. Okay.
Right.
If you haven't seen the movie American History X, this is a movie, very good movie, about Edward Norton, who essentially becomes radicalized, becomes a white nationalist. He kills a black guy who is he trying to break into his car or something?
Do you remember? I've not seen American History X.
What?
What is this, like Fight Club or
Are you
something. It's like,
racist, Adam? You've never seen American History X?
I don't like racist movies.
Oh my God.
Are you racist? You're the one watching American History
It's an
X.
anti-racist movie.
Oh, it
Okay.
is? I thought it was a
Yes.
pro-racist movie.
No. Oh yeah, it's a pro-racist movie.
Yeah.
No, so okay. So anyway, maybe someone in the chat remembers. I think the guy's trying to break into his car or something. He's trying to steal his car. Okay, yeah. So there's a black guy who's trying to steal his car, and Edward Norton stops him, and he has a gun. And there's like a very famous scene where he tells the guy who's trying to steal his car to bite the curb.
Right.
Okay. So the
Ooh, ouch.
he's like so the guy opens his mouth and puts it on the curb, and Edward Norton, and you've
Bashes
probably
his
seen this
head in.
gif, takes his foot and just stomps on the back of his head, killing
Right.
him. Right.
Ugh, that's awful.
I think this could be maybe where the term either derived or became popular when someone says they were curb stomped. Is from this scene in this movie. That's
I
what it comes
don't know
from.
about that, but
Okay. So, well, I'm sure that's what made it popular. I don't know if that's like the origin of the term. But so Edward Norton goes to jail like immediately for killing someone. But when he's in jail, he, at first he hooks up with like, the white racist Nazi gang in jail, but then he becomes kind of disillusioned with them because he finds out that they're hypocrites because they're actually like kind of friendly and dealing drugs with like I think like the Mexican gang or something in jail. And he's like, "What the fuck? I thought you guys were all about my like racist ideology." And he's like, and they're like, "No, no, no, no." So essentially he basically ends up hooking up with and I don't remember what happens. He gets in a big fight with like the white nationalist guys. I think he might actually get raped by like the white nationalist leader or something in jail. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. He becomes disillusioned with the movement. He basically becomes friends with a black guy and he kind of learns in prison to not be racist anymore, Adam.
okay. What's this have to do with the Twitter argument?
Well, hold on. Okay. So then when he gets out of jail, it's a great movie. I wish watch. When he gets out of jail, he sees that his younger brother is kind of going down, who's John Connor from Terminator 2, is kind of going down the same pathway, and he's trying to, stop him from going down the same pathway of becoming a white nationalist. Okay.
Okay.
So the whole point of the movie is that Edward Norton is like a big racist, and then he essentially learns to be colorblind, right? He learns, there's a lot of bad white people out there, and there's a lot of base black people out there. Maybe I shouldn't be a racist, right? Classic liberal message.
Right.
So this guy Hutch responded to this. He posted a picture of this and said, "Ah, yes, the famously anti-woke American History X, featuring the story of an ex-Nazi fighting to de-radicalize his Nazi younger brother." Okay.
Right.
So I responded saying American History X was about a white nationalist realizing they were wrong and adopting a colorblind liberal approach, the opposite of woke, which is rooted in an anti-colorblind race consciousness ideology laid out by CRT and other critical theories. And
Nice.
that's where the argument explodes, because I'm sure there's like a contingency of people who are on the left who are like, kind of like very politically minded, do political content, who are on the left, but are just completely ignorant of leftist ideology. Like they're just kind of very strong in the bubble, vote blue no matter who, Democrats, right?
Yeah, useful idiots. That's what we
Yes,
call them.
essentially. And so Hutch seems to be in this category. And this is what's kind of weird because in an earlier tweet, he was criticizing Second Thought, our good friend Second Thought, because Second Thought was in his last video basically advocating, supposedly, I haven't watched the whole video, was supposedly advocating for people to engage in violent revolution.
Right. Yeah.
And so this Hutch
What's new?
guy,
His last video? I mean, all his videos.
I know. So Hutch seemed to be kind of aware that there was this like radical socialist thing, but he gets in this big, super long argument back and forth with me about what the word woke means because he doesn't know what the word woke means.
Right.
At all.
I have his tweet.
Yeah.
Woke originally was a term that meant someone who was aware of how systemic racism could hurt themselves and others. Hey, that's the definition I gave to Brianna Wu. Conservatives in the modern era bastardize the term to be somewhat synonymous with very negative kind of identity politics. Well, that's so basically conservatives are using the same definition as you, Hutch. They just think you're awake to something that doesn't exist. They think this systemic racism is way overstated by you and to the point where it's fictitious.
Well, here's the problem. When he says systemic racism and you say systemic racism, you also mean two completely different things.
Yeah, well, I he I don't know the definition he in particular is using for systemic racism. Like he might be using the I'm a useful idiot and I don't know the definition the woke people are using.
Right, because my
Yeah.
response to that is that I'm not a conservative, and you are not informed on the issue of what critical social justice is, what CRT is, or even what systemic racism is, how it is rooted in far leftist ideology, and how it's vastly different from the liberal approach to fighting against racism. When you understand what these concepts are, you'll understand why people like Second Thought and Hassan say the crazy things they say that you also criticize. They are both overtly socialists who exemplify the very notion of woke I talked about, and they constantly attack liberals and liberalism. Okay.
True.
So Hutch he goes back and forth with me, and it's kind of funny, part of the funny interaction, because everything becomes Sitch's law, right? So everything has to become like we have to argue about the definition of what the word woke means. And he keeps saying woke just means like he says the woke most people just think woke means the original definition, which is to be informed, educated, and aware of social injustices. Okay.
Right.
That's what he thinks it means. And I say, well, that's not really true. The original meaning of the word woke meant to just be aware that you could be walking through, a place and a bunch of racist white people could, maybe lynch you or something and accuse you of a crime specifically. So you need to be aware of that in order to look out for it and to not get, in trouble. Right. It wasn't about like white people need to be informed and educated on the concept of social injustices. It was more like, hey, black people, like keep an eye out. So like if when you're in a certain area where a bunch of white people are, because maybe they'll do something bad to you.
Whitey doesn't
Okay.
get you.
Right. So he brought up a Wikipedia article to say that I was wrong. Okay. Because he looked up woke in Wikipedia, and there's a little section that talks about the early uses of the word woke. Okay. And let me show you the picture. It's
Yeah,
kind of funny.
send it to
Actually,
me.
let me show you the picture that Mithram made, because Mithram actually pointed this out kind of hilariously. Because he did one of those things where he brought up a picture which shows that everything I said is true, and then pointed to it like as if what I said wasn't true.
Don't you love that? That is
It's
always
so
the
funny.
best.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I say that so much.
Hmm.
Look, you're literally making my argument. Like,
Right.
why are you doing this?
Right.
You're supposed to be making your argument.
Yeah.
Do I need to spell your argument out? Did you forget what your argument was?
Yeah.
All right, I got it up.
So you can see the part, this is what Mithram highlighted. It says, Black American folk singer-songwriter Huddy Ledbetter, aka Leadbelly, used the phrase, quote, stay woke as a part of a spoken afterword to a 1938 recording on the song Scottsboro Boys, which tells the story of 9 black teenagers and young men falsely accused of raping 2 white women in Alabama in 1931. In the recording, Leadbelly says he met with the defense lawyers and the young men themselves, and, quote, I advise everybody be a little careful when you go through there, being Scottsboro, better stay woke, keep their eyes open.
Right.
Okay. Which is exactly what I said, the
Yeah.
original concept.
Watch out for
woke.
Whitey. Whitey gonna get you.
Right. And if you see right under it, it says, by the mid 20th century, woke had come to mean well informed or aware, especially in political or cultural sense. So even the article says that the word changed. So kind of what he's trying to say. Right.
Right.
So Hutch says, well, wait a minute, you're wrong, Mithram, and Sitch is wrong. Because if you look right above that, there's an earlier usage. Okay. Look at the top. It says, among the earliest usage of the idea of wokeness as a concept for Black political consciousness came from the Jamaican philosopher and social activist Marcus Garvey, who wrote in 1923, Wake Up Ethiopia, Wake Up Africa. All right.
Okay.
So I said, well, I thought my response was pretty good. I said, you are incorrect on multiple levels. Okay. And I basically said, well, yes, if you want to point to wake up Ethiopia, wake up Africa as the origin point, I'm talking about specifically the word woke, not wake up Ethiopia. Okay. But if I grant you that that was the origin, was this wake up Ethiopia, wake up Africa, you actually make my argument better and you actually make your argument worse because that guy, Marcus Garvey, was a black nationalist arguing for racial separation. So the statement about wake up Africa was literally him advocating a call for people to wake up to the concept of black nationalism.
Interesting.
So this is the problem with a lot of this sort of, as you were saying, the useful idiots on the Democratic left who have literally like they know that they don't like the socialist, but they don't understand who they are, what they're advocating for. They don't understand how so much of the language and the conversation in America has been basically subverted by these communists whatsoever. And so all they do, like all this Hutch guy did, is he looked at this tweet and he said, "Aha, I have a dunk on Vivek here. I don't like Vivek. Vivek is a right winger. I have an easy dunk on him to get some Twitter interactions, and then that's all he does. Even though by doing that, all he's doing is playing into the hands of people like Second Thought and Hassan, who he claims to not like, by basically forwarding the concept that wokeness just means to be aware of social injustices."
Right. Yeah. Terrible.
Terrible. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he comes on. I'll send him a message about it.
Does it seem
Magor for
doubtful? He's I don't
Mhm.
know. I watched a video of his, a little
Mhm.
just Twitter video.
Yeah.
So he seems like maybe a normal human being.
We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. Magor for 13 months says, in a post-scarcity future, should UBI be paid out in USD or access to AI and replicators? Everyone gets a personal AI and replicator seems better. Well, I guess the question is, if everyone has like free energy with replicators that could basically do anything, the question is going to be, what exactly are you going to be spending money on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The money system is also an information system
Mm.
that tells producers how much of and what to produce. So I don't think getting rid of the money system is a good idea. Like even if people aren't working for the money
Hmm.
and are just receiving the money, they still have to put in mental work to figure out, what resources they want for this amount of money. So, and how the aggregate of people determine those things is going to determine how many cars are made, how many houses are made, how much food is made, what type of food is made, right?
Hmm.
That all that system, all that information system will still need to exist. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
so like, let's just imagine that we have free energy and we have replicators that can basically make everything. What are
Hmm.
people going to use? Like, what are they literally going to use money to do at that point? Like, the only question at that point is land, right? Because that's a limited resource that you can't replicate.
Right. Yeah. So you need money for that.
Right, but so would it just be for land acquisition? Would be the only purpose of money?
No, I think, look,
Or are you suggesting people should still like,
every single person making individual products,
mhm.
I don't think that's,
You don't think that's going to happen?
no, because it's inefficient. You want like a big replicator that makes a bunch of specialized stuff, replicators that make, I mean, if it's like the Star Trek thing, but I think we're like a long way away from
Oh yeah, no, no, no.
Star
That's what
Trek
I'm
type
talking about.
replicators.
Yeah, no, no. Like, let me be clear. You're correct in terms of like we're a long way off from all having Star Trek replicators,
Right.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
So,
I thought that was the format of the question. That was the question that was actually being asked. Is like when we all do have Star Trek replicators, like in our homes,
right.
that is going to drastically change how we have money, if we have money, how money even works.
Yeah, but
Because
there will be, I mean, how big is this replicator?
Well, that's another
Can you
question.
make a car with a
Well,
replicator?
that's another question. Like, people wouldn't have like would everyone have like a giant replicator to make a car? Would you only like would there be a size limitation? If you want a car, do you have to go down the car replicator place? I don't know. So it would depend on how
And
the
you will
technology
need
works.
money for the car replicator place. Yeah. The idea of us getting rid of money is that's the part of the question that just seems
I
ridiculous to
don't
me.
I don't I just I I'm not advocating that we get rid of money, but it's hard but it's not going to look in this Star Trek future, money won't look the way it does now. It'll have to look very different and operate very differently.
What do you mean?
Because
Do
if
you, do
it
you dispute the fact that money is an information system?
No, I don't dispute that.
Okay. So how are you going to determine, look, you control the big replicator that spits out cars. How do you know how many cars to spit out? What kind of cars to spit out? How do you know?
Because it'd be an on-service thing. Someone just comes up and says, I want a car. You say, what kind of car do you want? They go, I want the car designed by JX92 on, the website. Here's the template. I go,
Right.
boop, here you
Okay.
go. Here's your car.
Okay.
Like if it costs the person, if the question with the car replicator is just because no one wants to have a giant replicator in their house for size constraint reasons, but the actual machine could be replicated and thus doesn't cost anything. Well,
Right.
like that's where I'm saying here.
So
That's why
the car will be made on demand. How long does it
right.
take to make the car? Because then the resource becomes time.
Well, that's true, but it'd be a couple seconds, I guess, if we're talking about Star Trek, replicating technology.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I don't perceive it being a efficient system for everybody to have replicators that produce large appliances. So I think that will be like the bottleneck. I think
Um,
there'll be certain replicators that produce that kind of stuff. So
it depends. I mean, again, it depends how how the technology works because we're kind of assuming that this like you have like a giant box that has to be
Mhm.
the size of the item, right? And that it replicates it as opposed to, what if you have, five or six little like circle balls that you just program and they just kind of hover around and they become the size of whatever the object is and they just kind of
Oh,
like
okay. So
make
you
it in
just
the air.
okay. Yeah. No, that's great. Just throw your hover balls in the backyard and they just replicate the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What will
That's
money mean in a place like that?
I don't know. That's my question. I have no clue what money's gonna be then. It's gonna be weird. I mean, I think it means something different. I don't know how it's gonna work. Because the only thing you can't I kind of wish it would have been interesting if the writers of Star Trek had engaged in the question of actually explaining how the economy worked, but they didn't because it would have probably been too complicated.
Well,
Because
it
it's
would have
like
come off as communist and then
I think it would just be. I think it's because they don't know, and it's because no one knows. Because the question would be like, well, what do you do about land ownership? Why does anyone have jobs? What is the point of having a job? Does everyone just do a job for fun?
yeah.
Cisco's father has a
Yes.
restaurant. Like, was that just for like the yucks? There are
Yeah.
people that like work in the restaurant as cooks and like waiters. Why the fuck are they doing it? Like, who's gonna be a waiter just for like the fun of it, right?
There's going to be robots that do. The
Yeah,
only
I know.
jobs that humans will do are jobs that they want to do, that they elect to do, and they won't be
Sure, I
paid
would
for
assume,
them. Yeah.
right? But then again,
Look, as soon as you get paid for a job, it makes it 10 times less fun. So,
of course.
yeah.
But then how? Like how does land ownership work? Like, Captain Picard has inherited, or his brother has inherited the family vineyard. It's like this large acres and acres
Yeah,
of,
that's where the money comes in.
grapes, right?
Yeah.
But like that wine, there's no money in that system. So the wine they produce is not being sold, right? It's just being, I guess, it's being given away, right?
Yeah. Look,
But so why, like,
it's
who makes
better
the
than
determination?
replicator wine.
Right. So who makes the, well, no, but that like, so you could get specialty items that I guess are not replicated. You can get like, homegrown food, but all that stuff, none of it's sold. It's just like people just do it to do it. So if you can go to the grocery market where everything's free and you can get your Picard wine, right? It's just you can just
There
pick it
will
up
be
if you
no
want it,
grocery.
right?
Grocery markets. There's no need for a grocery market.
Well, how would people who actually make physical food get it to the people that want it?
It comes out of the replicator.
No, 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 no. No, no. So anyone can replicate food in Star Trek, okay?
Yes.
But there's also people who literally grow food like the way that we do, and they'll use that food and they'll cook it and they'll make it like a standard way. So they have to go to a physical location, like a restaurant or some place to acquire that food,
Okay.
right? And so Picard owns a vineyard. And so they take those grapes and they make some kind of physical wine that's not replicated. They're making a physical product that people acquire through some mechanism. Okay. So the question is, who makes the determination? First of all, how would that even work? Is it just some place in France you could just go and, walk in and just pick up as many bottles of Picard wine as you want? And then number two, who makes the determination that it's justified for the Picard family to have that much property? Like it's the future. Presumably there's a shit ton of people living on Earth, right? Where then they say like, well, we don't even need you to make wine anymore. Why don't we, wouldn't the government say like, this would be the danger, the fear would be, wouldn't the government say, hey, we're going to take your land, you can keep your house, but we're going to take all your vineyard land because it's not even useful, and we're going to put a bunch of houses here so people can live here.
How about just we use money? We continue to use money.
Okay, but that's the problem. How's the moneyless society work then?
It's not a moneyless society.
Okay.
There is no moneyless society.
There isn't Star Trek, you motherfucker.
Well, I'm not talking about Star Trek.
I
I'm
know.
talking about, look, Magger's question.
Okay.
My answer to the question is I don't think we'll ever get rid of money.
Okay.
Because there are reasons to have money. Because there are limited resources, even if you've got post-scarcity. You've got land, we've determined is limited. We also have time, which is limited.
Sure.
So as soon as you have any sort of limited resources, money is the best system for distributing limited resources.
I agree.
Okay. So
but it's going to be
stick with money.
Right, but it's going to be weird. What is the future going to look like when the only limited resources are land and maybe like very, very complicated, high-tech, non-replicatable things?
It's going to look great.
Okay.
It's going to be
we'll
spectacular.
See. All right.
Just the replicators will not be able to make money.
That's true.
It'll be illegal. It'll be counterfeiting.
The IJP Mexican for 18 months says, what you're saying is, Thomas Damassi, smash that like button. S-Class is best class. I like that. That's good.
The point that people always have difficulty getting past is we distribute money to people without them working for it. That's the hurdle that most people have. They're like, money without work? But I do think we're closer to human labor being, like, before the replicators are invented, I think human labor will become superfluous. Yeah, because it won't be as good. Like, nobody will want to use the human labor because it's just not as good.
Well, okay, so here's my question. So if, say, we do have our magic free energy replicator future, would you still, like, should people still get paid by some entity, some amount of like units, and they still are like limited in how to spend those units to replicate things or to get stuff?
Perhaps. I don't know what goes into the replicator to make stuff. I mean, if we have infinite energy, we still have limited space. So, I mean, if you walk up and say, look, I want 35 cars. It's like, where are you going to store 35 cars, right?
Right. Obviously there had to be restrictions on, stuff.
Yeah,
like
but the
that,
restrictions are probably space and time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, should those like if you say everyone has the little floaty balls, so anyone can make a car in their backyard, right?
Right.
They still have to be able to
How
have.
big's their backyard, though?
Right. Exactly. Like the car can't be in their neighbor's yard. It has to be in their yard, right?
Right. Which is where the money comes in.
Right. But that's the question. So should there be some actual, like, the government gives you 1,000 units every month, and to make a car costs like 500 units system? I mean, that seems like it'd be too, I don't know if I like that kind of system.
Look, going to the post-scarcity thing,
right,
I think is just, it makes it too sci-fi. Like, I do think UBI is going to come long before any of that.
Okay.
Like, most people are against UBI because intuitively it goes against their moral intuitions that you should get some sort of payment for not doing any labor, not doing any work whatsoever.
Well, so
That
okay,
like
so
offends them.
to take it out of the realms of the sci-fi, or let's say
Yeah.
take it in the realms of the near future, the nearer sci-fi. Okay.
Yes.
So we're talking about a future where most jobs are done better by robots and AI, right? That's what you're talking
Right.
about.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So people, you have a problem because like, so the natural job market would try to shuttle everyone into basically doing whatever handful of jobs that the robots can't do, right? Because those would be the most valuable. That's what people get paid the most to do. Or the only things people get paid to do would be to do the jobs the AI can't actually accomplish, right?
Right. But let's just imagine, let's just skip to the end because there is going to come a point where, robot labor is just better. There's
Okay.
not really going to be any jobs for humans to do, right? Any
Mhm.
job you can think of, a robot can do it better.
Okay.
So how are we going to sustain? Do we just let the robots take over and we just all die off, or?
No, but no, I don't know the answer to that. But I'm saying is, so you're saying even that system, so say robots do every job, like literally every job robots
Yeah.
do.
So there's no
Okay.
job for you to find
Right. So you're
because
saying that
nobody
in that
wants
system,
your work.
right. So you're saying in that system, we should have essentially like the government say, okay, everyone gets some amount of UBI, and then you use that UBI to get goods and services and buy land and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But so would everyone just have so okay. But I mean, would someone be able to make more you from like the system somehow?
Sure. Yeah, because you could organize robots into, I don't know, some kind of service. Maybe make
Hmm.
I don't know, a robot sports league. Maybe some fascinating new sport that robots play that people want to watch and will pay to watch.
Hmm.
I mean, who knows what kind of stuff is going to
Right.
happen? But just the idea that you will need humans to do labor, that's the thing that's gonna be gone.
I think we're further away. I think I think we're close to a period where a lot of jobs will end up being done by robots in our lifetime. And a lot of jobs that we don't think would be done by robots will end up being done by robots. I don't think we're I think it's going to be difficult that like every literal thing can be done by a robot or AI.
In 50 years, you don't think
Yeah.
that's the case? In
In 50
100
years, I
years, you
don't think
don't
it'll
think
be.
that's the case?
Um,
In 200 years, you don't think that's the case?
I don't,
Come on. Come
it's
on.
difficult because whenever like new technology emerges and people make like just historically when people make all these predictions about where it's going to go, it just seems like it never goes in that direction exactly. It seems like there's always different things that we didn't anticipate that arise that kind of shape the way the technology works.
Well, but we will always need food, transportation.
Yeah, of course.
There's certain
Right.
things that are not gonna.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. That's why like I have no clue. Like maybe when robots do all like most of the jobs, like you're talking about making food, transportation, kind of like the necessity things, and humans start switching to non, more luxury items or more artistic endeavors or whatever, you can say, well, you're in a computer that can make the same picture. But I know I feel like at least for now, I could be wrong. The next generation might not care, but at least for now, I think a lot of people they'll see a picture that a person did and a picture an AI did, and there's some like psychological thing that happens where people just care about the picture the human did a lot more than the one that the AI did.
Okay.
So I don't know. I have no clue what any of this stuff's gonna look like, but whatever. Anyway, I guess we'll find out together, everybody.
Why? I mean, I have a excellent clue. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's basically there's going to be UBI,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
which is going to establish like a monetary system where people, get a certain allotment of goods and resources, but they get to select what goods and resources they want. And that
Right.
will send a signal to producers. If everybody wants to spend part of their UBI on rice, then the rice producers are going to be gangbusters.
I see. So
Yeah.
essentially, the currency would exist in this thing only for two purposes, which would be A, to limit people from going crazy on taxing the society to produce a bunch of shit, number one, or number
that we
two,
don't have space for
that they don't have that they don't have
time
space
to
or time.
produce.
Yeah, that they don't have space or time for. And then number two, just so that there could be information about what kind of how much and what kind of services should be produced and what should be, people should be looking into to improve, essentially.
Which is
Right.
exactly how the capitalist economy works already, right?
I mean, it does if you remove the element of, you know, earning money through, the concept, the psychological concept that like you deserve and earn money because you worked hard for it,
Yeah,
right? Because
that's part
yeah,
is totally going to be stripped away.
yes,
But
right.
the entrepreneurs who are like, I have this idea for something that I think a lot of people will want. And therefore, I will, if I create this thing, a lot of people will spend their UBI money on it. And
They'll get extra UBI credits
they will
for
get
doing
more.
that.
Yeah, they will become wealthy, rich.
Okay,
They will be able to
interesting.
acquire more land, more resources,
Hmm.
right? They'll be using they instead of acquisitioning human labor as part
Hmm.
of the development process, as part of the industrialization process, they'll be acquisitioning robot labor.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, they
yeah.
might even be developing special robots that do special things that we haven't even thought of yet. But the
That would be.
driving force will be
Mhm.
the money to that for people who want things that these people produce. I mean, it'll be pretty much the same exact thing as our capitalist economy now.
People are like, this sounds awful. That's what they think. I think.
I mean, if you are a person that gets a lot of a lot of satisfaction or a lot of meaning in your life
Mhm.
because you have a job that you find meaningful, and a robot comes along and does that job 10 times better than you, okay, I can see where you
Sure,
would
you're getting in
say,
trouble. Yeah,
this is hell. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
And
putting
look, there
us
might be a lot of people who are just on drugs and playing video games because they're like, I can't even compete.
putting aside whether this future is good or bad, because to
Hmm.
me, that's not really what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about what is likely. Um, and I think here'd be an interesting idea. Again, putting aside whether it's good or bad, be kind of working on what you're saying is that yeah, if we have a future where robots and AI do like all the jobs essentially, um, how would it work? And I think what you're saying could be the system that we end up developing. And we'd probably develop it over time, piecemeal. It wouldn't be just like a snap and suddenly this is the world we live in. Like we would develop over time. And it could be like a weird situation where basically everyone is like set at the bottom as like middle class in what we would call middle class now in terms of like the types of luxury goods inside of your house and things that you can do and own. And then if you're able to contribute to society in some way that improves society beyond just what the robots and AI does, then you basically get like a pay raise
Yeah. You get
through the
fabulously
system,
wealthy.
right? And then you can move up in class by contributing to society in some fashion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I think I want that. I'm just saying I could foresee that being a possible future scenario for
Well, I
us.
think you're going to get it whether you want it or not, just
Right.
because
Right.
these robots are going to do everything better than humans. So whatever you're doing now, robots are going to
Hmm.
do it better.
Interesting. We'll
I
see.
mean, I think a lot of people just have major cope over this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll find out.
As someone, and it's funny that you bring up the art thing, because it's when people talk about, and I like AI art, like a lot of it just looks amazing.
Hmm.
Uh, but as an artist, I've been an artist my entire life. So as soon as people find out you're an artist, they're like, let me show you my art, right?
Hmm.
And 99% of the time when they show me their art, it's terrible. It's like so painful to look at that I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you waste your time making this shit? Right? So when
Well,
I look at
mhm.
the AI, I'm like, oh my God. Like, just because a human made something, as someone who's seen, thousands of fucking shitty human made art pieces, I think, give me the AI stuff. Just give me the AI stuff, right? Just because a human made it doesn't mean it's good.
No. Right. I agree with that. And I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is I've experienced this and I've heard other people experience it, so I don't think I'm alone here, which is
Mhm.
that you can have a situation where you have a beautiful piece of art. Okay.
Right.
You know those like cool AI like pictures of like cities that have like they have like embedded within them like a weird shape. You know, it's like, oh, it's like a city, but inside of it is like, you know, the shape of an X and the way it's shaded it like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about.
And there's some weird psychological thing that happens to me and to other people where if you can just mass produce something, you just don't care about it that much. And so I'd see a picture and go, oh, that's cool. And then I'd see like a million versions of it because the AI is just spitting this out. And I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then I just don't care. Where if I saw like that same painting of that same quality that a human made, I'm like, oh, that's like amazing. Like it hits me in a completely different psychological way because I experience and understand like all of the work that went into it as opposed to the AI that there's like, well, there's work that goes into the production of the AI, but it just doesn't hit me the same
Yeah,
way
look,
psychologically.
beautiful
And so,
human-made art is going to be
Let
the
me finish. Let me
pinnacle.
finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay. So to me, I still see, and I think to other people, there still is some difference into it, but that could all be go away within a generation or two. If people grow up with that AI art, there could be a lot more people who have your experience where they don't care. They just look at it and just what it looks like is the primary importance to them.
Yeah. Yeah. This beauty is the purpose that it serves. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Look, human-made, beautiful human-made art will be the pinnacle of value, obviously, because it's more difficult for humans to achieve that, right?
Hmm.
It's like the difference of climbing Mount Everest and flying up to the top of Mount Everest in a helicopter, right?
Right.
It's like this was a challenge that somebody achieved and we can all respect that, right? So, but that will play into various different value calculations, but I just think as
Hmm.
far as like, just all the every job that humans do every single day, it's just that's going to become the realm of robots. It really is. Yeah.
Well,
The robots will be serving us as a society.
yeah, I know, I get it. I mean, but you're talking about a future where essentially the only market, the economy for humans will only consist of two positions. It'll be entrepreneurs who figure out how to do new things that are actually very beneficial to society, and then which I think would be the minority because it's probably very difficult. And then people that all they do is create luxury brands and luxury items, right?
That are made by humans or
That are
something.
made by humans, right? So
I
like
mean, a lot of the
for
luxury brands are not made by humans now.
no, but like the entire point of a luxury brand is essentially for someone to show off that they have the luxury brand, right? Like a lot of luxury brand
Mhm.
stuff doesn't look good or seem better than a non-luxury brand product.
The interesting thing for me is going to be sports
No, but
because
wait. Stay on this luxury brands ideas for a second. Okay. So
okay,
like when someone gets the GC bag, okay, it's got all
hmm
the ugly GC logos or whatever.
made
Like there's
by
always like
small Cambodian children
yeah,
in
that's
work
some
in
small Cambodian.
sweatshops. Okay,
Exactly, right. Yeah, that like stitched together, right?
right.
The thing that makes it valuable isn't that the bag aesthetically looks good, because most of these, like a lot of these luxury stuff looks like garbage. What
It's
makes it luxury is that for whatever reason, that brand has been established as like, oh, that's a luxury brand, and therefore that's what gives it value. It's the same thing when like you have a
but
big diamond. Like
that
you can
doesn't
literally have
that
a
doesn't
machine.
play into the automation question though.
No, wait, no, it perfectly does. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Let me connect the dots here. It's like we have machines already that can produce giant diamonds that look to the eye basically the same as a found diamond.
right.
And you could get a giant diamond rock and you can give it to your fiance and say, "Will you marry me?" She puts on her finger, "Oh my God," right? And but since it can be made very easily, it loses all of the point of the diamond, which is that it's a signal of status that you were able to afford this object. That's why the imperfect diamond that had to be found by children in Africa in a fucking mine somewhere is worth more. It's still what people want to buy as opposed to the diamond made in a factory somewhere.
It's worth more because it's a social taboo, but those social taboos can
No.
change
It's
very
worth.
easily.
It's not that. No. It's worth more because it's more difficult to get. It's the same thing with like the Gucci stuff. I'm saying
I
it's worth
disagree.
more not because it looks good. It's worth more because it's worth more. It's the expense. It's like when I talked about the World of Warcraft mounts. You could have ugly mounts that were more highly coveted because they were more difficult to acquire.
Of course,
Right.
but if there was, but only because the demand exists. There are tons of things that are difficult to obtain, but nobody wants. So
Yes, I
obviously,
understand that.
there's no demand for them, so they're dirt cheap, right?
Sure, there's very little demand for people to run up and punch you
Right.
in the dick.
But
Okay.
but
Right.
the demand is created by like a social taboo. Like, women are going to look at each other funny if, they have a fake engagement ring, right? So the social taboo creates the demand. Those can change though. That can easily change.
Yeah, no. I understand.
But
That's why I know, but that's why I said that under the future that you're laying out, the two things would be the two job markets for humans would be entrepreneurship or luxury brands, because the fact that a human has to make the object
I just
would
let's take
make it more scarce and make it more difficult, and thus it would be like a status symbol that, oh, this person spent 1,000 of their UBI credits on a fucking handbag as opposed
let's
to
can
spending
we
one replicating it. Like
can we get past the like it took human labor to make it? Like, can't we judge things on this is just a better design? Like, wouldn't the luxury brand be the thing that is like just better design?
no, that's not the point.
Why is human labor necessary for it to be a luxury brand?
Okay,
Elon,
that
look,
wait.
Tesla is a luxury brand. It doesn't have anything to do with the human labor. It has to do with the design. It's an amazing design. The
No,
car is amazingly designed.
no, that's why okay. That's why people like. Okay, that's my whole argument is about why people want the diamond that was found in nature versus the one that's artificially made, even if they look exactly the fucking same.
Well, I think that's a social taboo.
It's not. No, it's not. It's the same reason why you go to like a fancy restaurant and you spend all this money and they give you that tiny plate of like a bite-sized meal.
Your claim is that human labor is the thing that makes something a luxury brand.
No, I'm saying it will in the future you're painting, not currently at the moment.
Why? Why does it have to
Because
be
that will
that?
be the scale. Because it will cost more. That's why.
So if I have something, if I have a very shitty product that's designed by humans and I have an amazing product that's made completely by machines, you're
No, that's not what
saying
I'm
the
saying.
shitty project,
No,
the
no.
shitty thing will be the luxury
I'm
brand.
saying you could get a bag, okay? You could get a very nice looking purse that is, perfectly designed, it won't fall apart, whatever. And then you can get the same, a purse that's also like a comparable quality and comparable aesthetic value, but it's made by a human in this future you're talking about. So there's significantly less of them, and it took someone a long time to make. Okay. The
Right.
purse that was made by a human will be valued, just my guess, be valued greater by society because of the scarcity of the object. And the scarcity of the object is going to be based on the fact that a person made it.
Right. Well, if there's demand for it. And
Of course.
the claim that I'm making is the demand won't be there. Like
Well, no, but mhm.
for 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 products that are better designed, the demand will be there even though like I just think human labor is irrelevant to
I think
people's
there will always
factoring into whether or not they want something.
I think there'll always be demand because people are competitive. People always want to rise up in a hierarchy. And to me, it seems like a way a hierarchy could easily be established in the future you're talking about is through people acquiring these sorts of luxury brand items that are made by people, because that's what makes it a luxury brand. That's what makes it more expensive, right? So that's a way to signal off your status, your wealth.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think there are ways to do that without including the metric of human labor. You just
Okay.
you create something that's amazing design and you say, look, I'm only gonna make this many of them. And it's my trademarked copyrighted design. Only so many of these things can exist, and
Hmm.
therefore that's gonna increase the value of them.
Hey, think
It
before you
has
sleep in the
nothing to do
chat.
with the human labor. Yeah.
He says tons of luxury brands look like shit. Take a look at the Cybertruck. True. Look at that.
Cybertruck looks great. You're
No, it
crazy,
doesn't. It
Sean.
looks
You're
terrible.
high.
It looks terrible.
Look, I have a hard out at 1, so we only have about 15 minutes
That's
left.
fun.
I don't know if we're
Yeah,
going to do
maybe the
another
rest of the
story or
supers.
not.
It's kind of a slow news day, but Sir Hostess of Liver for 200 Kazarkazarks, thank you. Says, could you guys over there come up with something better than two demented 80-year-olds for the presidential run, please?
Yeah, I wish. What is happening?
There you go.
Did you get Ostracy for $10?
I did, didn't I?
Okay.
Wait. No.
I don't think you did because I don't remember you responding.
Oh, you're right. I didn't get to it. Sorry. Wait, did he send another one? That's weird. Anyway, Ostracy for $10 says, I'm reading the bill, but it seems like the issue is that the bill restricts American websites from hosting TikTok. My website is a TikTok plugin. They could ban it. So yeah, if TikTok becomes illegal because they didn't divest from China, then yes, your website cannot host TikTok. That is correct. I don't see what the problem with that would be at all.
And Ostracy, why are you hosting TikTok anyway?
That's true. Yeah, stop it. Why are you helping China, Ostracy? Sodos for $5 says Avi is a Jewish doctor in Canada, and President Sunday is trying to get his license removed over disagreeing on whether or not Israel is doing a bad. What the fuck? That's crazy if that's the case. I mean, that makes complete sense. That sounds like something President Sunday would do. So, Gene the Angry Penguin for 17 months says, I'm going to kickstart Internet Argument Thunderdome. Why agree to disagree when you can chainsaw battle on bungee cords? True.
That would be a cool sport. Yeah, I never got to say my thing about sports. Like sports would be an interesting phenomenon because people seem super interested in watching guys, run around a basketball court and try and shoot baskets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that could potentially still be interesting to people. But I'm not like, if you have robots that can do just amazing athletic feats, isn't that going to be more interesting? Aren't all sports going to become like women's sports?
Hmm. I don't. If they can make the robots look perfectly like people, then maybe. But before then, no.
Why? I'm thinking like giants. I want to see 200-foot basketball players. I want to watch that, like in a stadium.
So if you can, like right now, right, you can watch video games, you can watch esports video games where people are flying around in jetpacks and robot mechs punching each other, right?
Yeah.
So since people watch that and can't watch that, why does anyone still watch MMA, which by comparison looks like dog shit?
There is a status element of it, which you wouldn't have with the robots. That's probably the intriguing part of it. Because there's a status competition.
Yeah. Right, that's part of it. But I think there's just something, I think as humans, we just conceptualize things differently. I think we'll always conceptualize, robots doing something as different than humans doing something. I think that's why, you can watch the robot, the E guy playing, whatever video game he's playing, and you can like it and you can watch it, and it's going to hit you differently than watching two people who train their whole lives to be MMA fighters in a ring fighting each other. It hits you psychologically differently.
If I was creating like a robot fighting league, I would just add personalities to all of the robots to achieve the status component that people are interested in. Like I would have my robots talking mad shit against one another.
Of course. Yeah. Having a narrative, I call it more narrative than stats, having like a narrative form in your league would definitely be important and get people to watch it. But I still think there's always still going to be a difference. Like there's always going to be people still want to watch the humans.
Why do so few people watch women's sports and so many people watch men's sports? What's going on there?
There could be a lot of reasons for it. But I think there's a difference between saying someone likes to watch male sports because males are generally better at the sports.
Yeah, they're faster. They're
still
stronger.
Humans, though, as opposed to like a machine.
Yeah, but look, if the robots are the majority of shots they're making are like 3-point shots, and maybe they're jumping and leaping over one another, who knows what kind of crazy shit they could do. It'd be amazing to watch.
Here's where I think the disconnect is. So like I used to say that What's the guy's name? Who's the director of 2001 and The Shining, a very famous director.
Yeah. How come you don't like that guy? He's so
What?
good.
Why am I blanking? I'm pulling
His
at Joe
name?
Biden. I'm
Sta
blanking on his name. What's his guy?
Stanley?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley?
Thank you,
Oh, you got it.
Stanley Kubrick. So I
You
used to
got
say
it,
this.
Biden.
I used to thank you. I used to say that Stanley Kubrick was like a dog shit director, and he's horrible and sucks because I'd watch all his movies and I would get nothing from them, right? Because that was my experience of it. But then I realized over time that the reason I'm not getting anything from it is because I'm not a very like visually oriented person. I don't gain a lot of information visually, which is unusual because most people do. I'm more into like the intangible aspects of storytelling as opposed to like the visual information. And so that's why I didn't get anything from his movies. But people, but when I understood that and I said, oh, okay, let me kind of look at this through that lens that I don't appreciate, I suddenly been like, oh, he puts in like so much work, so much effort into like crafting all these visual scenes, and all these visual scenes are, crafted in a way very intelligently to invoke certain feelings and emotions in people that are, affected by this. And I'm just like a weirdo autistic person that's not. And so therefore, even though I don't like Stanley Kubrick, I appreciate and understand why people do. And I think that you have like the opposite of me. You're very highly motivated by the visual aesthetic of things. So that for you, you'd watch like you're gonna watch a sport and the visual aesthetic of watching the robot that's a giant do a 200-foot somersault, into slamming a ball that's the size of a tank into a basket that explodes. To you is like that's like the peak thing because the visual aesthetic is the primary thing motivating you. And what I'm saying is, I think a lot of people that watch sports, there's a lot more that goes into it in their enjoyment beyond the visual aesthetic. So even if the visual spectacle of the robot doing that wouldn't be enough to satiate why they're watching the sporting event.
Well, look, we can find out. This is where the money component comes in, right? Because if all of a sudden you put together a robot basketball league and nobody wants to spend their money on tickets to watch humans play basketball, then we have the answer, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
I
we
just
will. We will.
I think the women's thing is I think there's a little hint there. Little tiny hint there, Sitch.
Okay. I'm not sure I agree. I'm not sure I agree.
Really? Why? Why? You never really answered the
I say
question.
because I
Why do
just
you?
I think people will just conceptualize it different. They conceptualize women and men the same because they're both humans doing human things through the same process, where a robot
Right.
is just seen as a very different action.
Why are women's sports less popular? Because they're just not as. Why are they not as interesting
I
to
think
people?
I think it's a couple reasons. I think it's because usually they're A, not as athletic and good as the male athletes, and then B, also just because of the history of socialization of people, are already like really into male sports.
That could be like the diamonds.
Hmm.
Just
Like a
if
tradition
ever,
aspect of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
social social thing. Like
And
if that,
also, I think, generally, not always, but generally men are more interested in the sports anyways. So it makes sense that men would be more interested in watching other men do sports.
I mean, in the beginning, there's going to be a huge push. Everyone's going to be like, oh, robot basketball. I watch human basketball. So, that inertia might carry for a while.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think people would be interested in watching like CG athletes playing a game, like playing a sporting game, like playing football or basketball or something? Just watching a bunch of like CG people do stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, that's what Marvel movies are, right?
No, but I'm saying specifically, like if you could have like a CG athletes play the perfect game of basketball or football or hockey or whatever. I mean, you think people would watch this and be like, "Oh, this is so much better than like the real sports," or they just kind
They,
of dismiss it like, "Oh, well, it's just someone just made them do this, right?"
it depends upon how it was made. If it was
Hmm.
spontaneously generated and either side could win, so you're really watching like a sport type engagement, I think they would. If it was pre-recorded and like whoever made the thing knew what the outcome was, I think people would be less interested.
Okay, I mean, I agree that that would
Yeah,
definitely be a big factor. So,
yeah. But I mean, this is why they do so much CG in movies and stuff like that. They're basically making something interesting to watch.
sure, but Well, I think it's a little different. But anyway, let's get through this because you only have
Yeah,
five
we got
minutes
like
left.
5 minutes.
Osta for $10 says you gotta love Marcus Garvey, a positive role model who called himself Emperor of Africa and started the Black Star Line to help Black Americans go back to Africa. There you go. And thank you,
Wow.
Ostaf, for the first ever super chat. M8566 for $2 says gold press latinum. There you go. That's the future. That's the currency that the Ferengis all use in Star Trek.
Oh, I like those guys.
Shell Shock TM for 18 months says left my job to prepare for an entrance exam for masters. So this is the last milestone for now. I'll resub after I get a job again. S class is the best class. Well,
No
thank you, Shell Shock.
worries. Yeah. Thanks for being a
I
subscriber.
believe if you stop and then you start again, I don't think you lose your length of time.
I
I'm
don't
not
think so
100% on.
either. Yeah.
Yeah, there could be some time limit on how quick you
I
have to
think
get
it
back
picks
to it,
up
but
right where you left off.
okay.
Yeah.
McGore for $5 says, sure, I don't think money will go away, but would UBI be better paid in money or the means to make food, goods, and plans? I mean,
Money
it'd be the same thing, right? The whatever is used to make food, goods, and plans, if it is on a
is
limited
the
quality,
money.
would
Yeah.
be the currency. Yeah. So
Yeah.
though McGore then for $19 says, I think robots with like robots themselves will be the currency. So that's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah. Before money, the money was women.
So now
Women were the original currency.
right. So there
Yeah.
you go. You're saying we're going to kind of regress back, but it's going to be robot women.
Exactly. How many robot women you want to trade for this car?
There you go. M8566 for $2 says replace the MMT emoji with a UBI emoji. There you
Sure,
go.
we can do that.
Majin for $20. Thank you, Majin. Says enjoying Adam's future hellscape. Come on down to Majin's big opium den. You'll never want to leave. Room and board. Well, all you need to do is submit your citizen code and we'll hook you up. You'll never want to leave. There you go.
Majin's a
True.
great artist. Look, great artists they're going to get the Neuralink and they're just going to be able to create images just like holograms and people will go see them perform, just producing great art
What's
in
it?
front of
Oh
them.
my God. I don't know why you said you have 3 minutes left and you just said like you just completely added this huge element to the art conversation. What's going to happen when people can just create images from their fucking brain, right? That's
Well,
going
there'll be
to
people that
drastically
do it
lower
better.
the bar for artists everywhere.
No, I think there'll be people that do it better than other people.
Well, they're always like, I couldn't do it
people
because
will
I
have
can't
better
visualize shit,
imaginations.
but
Yeah.
most people can, yeah.
Be like a square apple or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll be fucked up as the square apple, and the guy with like the perfect visual memory will become the next artist, even if his artistic abilities suck.
All right.
Genie and your payment for $5 says first thing we do in the AI utopia is free artists from the mortal coil to free up land as they are no longer needed. There you go. True. Energy Collect for $2 says Sitch, please check DMs. Where you said talking about TikTok, I would look into the history of Hulu when they first started. You couldn't access it from your phone. It was stated that it wasn't a function issue, but rather a rights issue. Boomers divide the internet based on broadcasting rights, even if it doesn't make sense. This could impact TikTok legislation. Okay, I mean, you'll have to tell. I don't know exactly how, so you'd have to be more specific, but okay. McGore for $5 says, should I be proud of derailing the stream? I am. Anyways, book recommendation on luxury items class by Paul Fussell. Thanks for the content. Keep it up. Well, thank you, McGore.
I'll check it out. Yeah, but thanks for the derail. It was an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah. CT for 2 Canadian says, Adam, robot fighting movie exists, Real Steel, Alita vibes. I'm sure you've
totally.
seen that. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen them both, and I love Alita Battle Angel. Obviously, I can't wait till they do part 2.
Moondoggy for $5 says the future is Metabots. There you go. Michael for 21 months. Thank you so much. Says don't want robots versus robots in sports. Do want robots versus humans in sports. There you go.
That could be cool.
Luke W for $5 says there are already robots that can do certain sports like bowling, yet professional bowling still exists.
Well, we'll see how long it lasts.
Okay. A Varied Horse for 19 months says the future of sports is GMO female monsters from Space Jam and Batman Beyond meta people against regular dudes.
That'd be great.
Maybe.
That'd be fascinating.
Brian for $10 says AlphaGo was made to beat the best Go players and AlphaZero was made to beat the best chess players, but they are both seen as novelties. People still watch chess and Go for the human competition.
Yeah.
I see. That's why I said to me, what's going to matter is once the robot looks like a person, will that be enough to trick people into caring about it?
Human status competitions, I think, will be very important still in life, obviously. So give people something to live for and strive for.
Right.
Yeah.
Crack Rock Steady for 23 months. This one equals freedom, our favorite Ninja Turtle supervillain. Look at that. Says, I haven't been able to catch a stream live for a while. I've been doing a lot of catch up lately. Loving daily streams. Keep up the good work. S-Class is the best class. And
A-Team reigns supreme.
There you go.
Supreme. All right. Ready?
We're not done yet.
Oh, okay.
Streamlabs. Ask the Fartsy for $5 says, Adam, stop stalling. Show the comics I sent you. Well, we don't have time because we're about to end, but we'll show either on Thursday or on Sunday, I guess.
Yes.
Soldos for $2 says, Thomas Massey's point is that it isn't a TikTok ban, but a broad granting of power to the federal government that will be abused later, just like how the Patriot Act was to be limited to American enemies, but later expanded. I think that's a bad argument because you can literally do that with any legislation. You can craft the legislation narrowly, and then later down the road, someone can amend it with a different law to make it more broad. And I mean, that's literally true of anything, any law ever.
Sure. Yeah, the military could be used on its own citizens. We shouldn't have a military.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like that can could be literally used for anything. So to me, that's just not a good reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Soldiers around $2 says, also, yes, Telegram would be affected as well. If random unorganized citizens own 20% of the stock combined, then a business would be classified as foreign controlled, not just ByteDance. I'd have to look into it, the law a little bit more. That's not my understanding. My understanding is not that, but maybe. Anyways.
All right. That was great, Sitch. A lot of fun. Great talking to you. We're taking Wednesday off, but we'll talk to you guys on Thursday.
See you Thursday.
Bye-bye.
Okay.